So Gestalt's originally a German word, and it means a complete figure. It was developed at the beginning of the 20th century, and it was really the first holistic psychology. And he transformed it into a psychotherapy. Now, he and his wife, Laura Perls, left Germany for South Africa in the 1940s to escape, persecution. And at that time, he and his wife were Freudian practitioners. And in South Africa, he began to develop some new ideas which departed from the Freudian analysis. And then he moved to the US and developed it further and became Gestalt therapy. So he and his wife drew on a number of influences to form this new therapy. That's okay? Yeah. Okay. Okay. It's okay. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about some of the sort of main elements of Gestalt. So the first one is based on the, we could say, the phenomenological approach. So this employs the use of awareness as a major therapeutic tool. So this differs from analytical approaches, which analyze and interpret. So in Gestalt, we don't analyze, and we don't interpret. Rather, we're interested in exploring, we could say, the what is. So, Fritz Perls said, Gestalt is the philosophy of the obvious. So we're interested in immediate experience, rather than abstract experience. So we're not so much interested in theories and models. We always focus on experience, which of course includes feelings, which is body-based awareness, and which includes the senses, also related to the body. So we're a lot less interested in what happens in the mind. So this type of awareness nowadays in psychology has become very popular in terms of what's called mindfulness. So it's related to that. It's also related to Eastern traditions such as Zen and Taoism. So it is present-centered. It's a non-cognitive awareness. And that's very much related to this word Gestalt, because we can understand awareness as operating through what we call figuring ground.
Could you explain this, please, again?
Yeah, figuring.
Could you explain everything, please, because I'm sorry.
That's okay, good, please interrupt.
Such a hard time.
To do that, I'll just try this again and see if the...
We can find
No, we
another
can hear.
arrangement. It's because I understand both Arabic and English.
Oh, it's a little
It's
So,
like
yeah, it's
distracting.
going to
Need, and I can appreciate the complexity because you're listening to both. It's distracting. Yes, I'm not sure what else to do about that. I can speak more loudly, so hopefully I can drown that out a little for you. I've got to pause for the translation. It's the challenge of inclusiveness.
it's okay.
Understand it.
Thank you for
Well, because mindfulness is not really the mind. Mindfulness is actually non-cognitive awareness. It's called mindfulness, but it's... Well, in Gestalt we don't actually use the word unconscious because we just focus on bringing things into awareness. So, I mean, it'll become clearer to you as the week progresses what I mean by non-cognitive body-based awareness. If you just, for instance, take a moment right now to pay attention to your body and notice what you're feeling. I mean, there might not be dramatic emotions, but if you just pay attention to your sensations, for instance, you know, cold, hot, tingling, heavy, whatever the feelings are, right now, that's always going on. There's always a layer of feeling experience that's occurring constantly. So, in Gestalt, we tap into that and we bring what we call the spotlight of awareness onto what the person's experience is. So, yeah, mostly we're distracted from that kind of awareness by what's going on in our heads. So in Gestalt, we're sort of constantly coming back to feelings, body, senses. Right now I'm talking cognitively, so, you know, obviously we're thinking at the moment and that's the focus, which is also a zone of awareness. It's just, we're less interested in that. And we want to bring everything into the moment. Welcome to see. There's a lot more I could say about it, but I just want to introduce each element to you. The second element, we talk about field theory. Field theory. So, field theory is because, you know, awareness is about the individual primarily. So, what do you feel right now? That's a very individual question. And I want to know your experience, your personal experience. The feel is less focused on the individual. Do we have another pen? Pen's just running out.
We don't have another pen.
Okay. It's fading. So the field, in the field, the individual is only one element. And what's important is all the influences on the person. And those influences might come from a family, they might come from school environment, culture, the economy, from the environment. So everything influences everything else in the field. So fields are complex, always very complex, always multi-layered. And so from a field point of view, there is no such thing as singular causality. You cannot say, this caused this. I had an accident because somebody turned without signaling. It seems like a very clear cause and effect. But actually, if you look at the chain, there's always multiple causes. So we're interested in multiple causality. So that's a different way of thinking in terms of this multiple causality. And what appears to be victim and perpetrator, from a simplistic point of view, when you look at it from a field point of view, everything's connected together. Of course, we can see in conflicts, whether it be family conflicts or political, national conflicts, we can see that everything creates everything else. Everything's connected together. So to understand the field, we have to understand the way that everything's connected together. And we also can't really do that by analysis because there's too many factors. So we have to understand in a very holistic way. So, in the field, the individual is the least important. So to understand your problem, to understand what you're going through, challenges, was brought into Gestalt through that avenue.
What is the name?
Can
Can I ask something about?
Sure.
Do you want us to ask while you are speaking?
You can interrupt me, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
So the idea of the multiple causality is that one thing leads to the other, like the butterfly effect?
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yes.
Too many things affecting.
That's right, exactly. Yes,
Which of those?
that's right. Field theory, systems theory, chaos theory, they're all kind of related to each other in terms of understanding complexity. Yes.
I think what you mean that she has to ask which one
Which
is it
those?
one series stored and the rest coming, or multi-causes?
Well,
Let me say
it's
some
both,
of
you see. The butterfly has, it's a cascade effect, yes. However, the butterfly also flaps its wings in a context, So the butterfly, you can start with the butterfly, but you can also start before the butterfly. And so you can just keep going back and back and back and back.
Thank you. I got to is the least important. It's rather the context.
Sure.
Why isn't it more?
Well, family home, you get a particular feeling. Maybe, everybody's kind of very warm and loving to each other. So, when you step into that environment, you feel kind of relaxed and happy. Then you go to visit another home where there's a lot of tension, conflict. And when you step into that family, you feel tense. So instantly, we're affected by the field that we step into. It's the same thing in a workplace. You step into one particular workplace, there's a particular atmosphere, we could say. That's another way to describe the field.
Energy.
Energy, yeah, sure. Atmosphere, energy. So that has a big impact on us. And if you go to a work environment and you start working in that company, you're going to be very influenced by the company culture, by the way people treat each other. And so even if you're a very peaceful individual, if you go to work in a company where there's a lot of conflict and tension, you're going to start feeling tense.
Vinay, can you write with the...
And you're all from different countries, so that you know that even though the Arabic countries share a lot in common, obviously religion and language and practices, but you go, from 500 kilometers from one country to another, and immediately you have a completely different experience. So that field affects us very strongly. And in psychotherapy, the family affects us. We're all very influenced by our families. And so to understand the individual, we also need to understand the family context. And even if someone defines themselves separate from the family, they're still in reaction to the family. And for those of us who are getting, more mature, all the things that I reacted to in my parents, my father, I start to recognize that there's many aspects of him and me that, or expert and customer. So the therapeutic relationship is generally conceived of as vertical. I have a problem, I come to you with my problem, I want you to help me with it. That's why I'm coming, that's why I'm paying you, because I can't handle it myself and I need your assistance. And you've got a license, you've got training, so you're an authority, I want your advice, I want your guidance. So that's the vertical nature.
Excuse me, is the vertical nature of the relationship mean that me and him are the same standard?
No. Vertical means somebody's superior.
So you consider the Gestalt therapist is more superior?
No. I'm saying this is the nature of therapy in general.
In general,
Yeah, in general. So in Gestalt, what we're interested in is more the horizontal.
Horizontal, yeah.
Because the horizontal relationship is person to person.
Yeah.
So in a horizontal relationship, in a friendship, we're kind of equal, even maybe different ages, but one person is not more important than the other person. And we share, and maybe we share experiences. It's a more sense of a cooperative relationship. So that's different than a expert relationship. So in therapy, this is very difficult for a number of reasons. Firstly, because the therapeutic ethics says that the client is the most important one. And I need to set aside my needs for the client. That's, ethical practice. So how can you have a horizontal relationship when you're setting aside your own needs? Well, the answer in Gestalt is that we bracket our needs. And we bring in aspects of self which are helpful to the relationship. So it's not exactly like a friendship, of course.
I didn't get that as a psychologist.
Of course, because...
Can you,
Yeah.
because I need to understand it to translate
Yeah,
it.
because generally in psychology, the relationship is vertical. And so people practicing psychology, psychotherapy, don't know how to have a horizontal relationship. So that's one of the significant elements that Gestalt has to offer, is how can you have a horizontal relationship in a vertical relationship? How do you do that?
I have a reflection on the horizontal relationship between the client and the therapist.
Yes.
Actually, with the concept that the therapist is sharing some of his experience in the same context as a learning experience to the client.
Yes.
This is the first thing.
Yes.
And sometimes the client, this is what my experience taught me. Sometimes a certain kind is a message for me. It comes in my life as a message or as a messenger to teach me something else. Something else that I am dealing with the client as if we are in the same, we are helping each other to grow.
Exactly. You said it perfectly. Thank you. That's a wonderful encapsulation.
Yes, because I've been asking myself this question, why is this certain client came to me now?
Yes.
So there is something happening with the system that I feel that is bringing me a message to learn and to grow.
Yes.
I'm also bringing him the...
Yeah.
Can I answer this question? You will not control your boss, you will control your client. You are the one who is taking the Gestalt to
That's
control
right.
the process.
Yeah.
With the boss, there is also the hierarchy.
Yeah.
So if he has the knowledge or the awareness of being in the same level, he will do it.
Of
You
course,
cannot,
yeah. But it's more rare.
yeah, it's very rare in the working
That's
place.
right.
Yes.
But when we have the power,
Yeah,
that's what we can do.
We
Yeah.
can do that. Yeah. So our power is more human.
Exactly. You got it, 100%. And in Gestalt, this comes from the philosophy of master.
Now,
So in
After in
English,
English.
thou is an old-fashioned word, which is like a honorific or respectful form of you.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Arabic
You. It is the same.
Uh-huh.
It's the old,
The older, yeah.
the old word of
Yeah.
Shakespearean.
Yeah, like that, Shakespearean, yeah. So the I-thou relationship is what comes from originally the ideas of Martin Buber, who was a Jewish philosopher, and he was actually writing in a spiritual context because he was interested in God not as something up in heaven, but God as manifest to us through the person in front of us. So he was, that's the origin of the I-thou, and then it became applied to therapy, particularly Gestalt therapy. So Gestalt, we explore how to conduct this kind of dialogue, this sort of human-to-human relationship. And it's one of the ways that Gestalt is kind of a little radical in a way. And although nowadays there's quite a few relational therapies, even within psychoanalysis, there's intersubjectivity, which is looking at this question of the co-creation of experience. But still, Gestalt does it in a particular way. The fourth and last element is the Gestalt experiment. So this originally derives from psychodrama, particularly on feelings of experience, and we bring it into action. So we say we play with the issue. So that's a psychodramatic element. Even something very serious and painful, we can create an experiment to explore it. So the experiment is a balance always between challenge and support. Because we need a certain amount of risk to create the conditions for change. Because people are very settled, very stuck in their way of doing things. So we need to shake them loose a bit. And that's the challenge part of it. But we also need to have support. Otherwise, the person just becomes traumatized, and then obviously that's not going to work either. So the right amount of challenge, the right amount of support, Peter Levine calls it titration. You know, it's a chemical term. You put just the right amount of different chemicals in to produce the chemical transformation. So we titrate challenge and support. And you know, each person and each moment needs a different balance between the two. And if you get the balance right, then you know you get growth. So that's a synopsis of Gestalt. Safe emergency. That's my Australian accent. Safe. Safe. The safe emergency. So yeah, we want to set up a kind of an emergency that in which we're taking the elements of what someone finds difficult and we're stepping into them, stepping into the heart of whatever it is. So, for instance, let's say, you grew up in a violent family, so obviously you have some trauma that comes out of that violence. So it means that if someone raises their voice, your body's going to react and shrink. So that's the emergency, it's the dangerous situation. So, perhaps in your marriage or your friendships, if the conflict starts to arise, then, you might tense up straight away and become a problem. So in the Gestalt experiment, we might set up that situation. I might say, well, perhaps I'll be your friend. Let's imagine I'm your friend, and I'm gonna raise my voice one notch, and I want you to notice what happens in your body, what you feel, because it's a safe situation. We can slow everything down. And I'm going to support you, so I'm going to raise my voice a bit, and then we're going to stop. And we're going to deal with the feelings that come up, you tense, and so I invite you to notice where you tense in your body, bring some breathing into the process, and other forms of support, so then the person's able to relax. So, we can explore that so that you can start to hear a raised voice, feel your tension, and then relax. So both the challenge and the emergency and the support at the same time. So the competency-based thing, and it's more a transformation of experience.
So what would the benefits if you just notice his emotions and his sensations?
Because people have a different experience. Yeah. And in Gestalt we're highly focused on experience.
Hello. You two came together so quick.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that I'm on the floor.
No. Thank you. Let me know.
So we don't care so much about the scale. We care about
The experience. Yeah. So, because we say that increased awareness in itself is curative. That's all we need to do. Just increase awareness.
I will have insights or reflections or
Exactly.
something that
That's right.
would help in the future.
Exactly. Yeah, because the insight comes from experience rather than from information. That's the key to the experiment.
I have something also. Sometimes we are lost in our experience. How can I help as a therapist the client if he's inside his experience and he's lost and does not know where the answers about why he's having this traumatized sensations?
Right. Well, often the lostness is in the mind actually, and what we do is we draw the person into their present-centered body experience, because that's called grounding. And when you ground the person, they're not lost anymore. They might be in pain, but they're not lost. So then we work through the pain as a way to transform. Okay, so that's a big overview, and I don't want to stay too long on a conceptual level, as fascinating as it is. We will come back to this later over the days as a reference point. But I kind of always want to move us into experience. The simplest possible exercise. It seems extremely simple, but it's very important. And this exercise is about exploring distinction between feelings and thoughts. You know, if there's anything basic in the world of psychology, it's feelings versus thoughts. So, although it seems straightforward, it's not that easy. Because often people, even sophisticated therapists, find it difficult to differentiate between feelings and thoughts. And that differentiation is essential because they're qualitatively different. Thoughts are abstractions and feelings are immediate experience.
Thoughts are
Abstractions.
feelings are
Immediate experience. So I can always argue with you on a thinking level because you have a viewpoint, I have a different perspective, and we discuss it, conflict about it. That's okay. Nobody has the perfect perspective. But on a feeling level, there's only one truth, and that's my truth. Because I know what I feel, and nobody else can be more authoritative than myself. So that's why the distinction is so important. Okay, so in this exercise, very simple, just one rule.
One thing before we start.
Sure.
If I am aware of my emotion, I became in the cognitive part, so I became more abstract.
Well, if I become aware of my emotion, that's somatic experience, so it's not abstract. The abstract.
Awareing, I think the awareing is kind of abstraction.
Ah,
The
okay.
idea of awareness itself.
Yeah, so, okay, fair enough. So I want to keep coming back to this definition.
Yeah.
Awareness can be feelings, awareness can be sensory experience, awareness can be thinking.
Yeah.
So it's three types of awareness. And what we're doing is we're moving between two different types of awareness.
We are moving between the two.
Yeah, that's right, between thinking awareness and feeling awareness. That's right. So,
thoughts, feelings, actions. Is it the same in Gestalt? Like, does the thought have to happen before the feeling, or we don't have to follow this rule?
It's very non-structured. It's very organic. It's very fluid. It's process-oriented. And so, see, the nature of phenomenology is that it's atheoretical. There is no theory about human nature, about what's better, about what's worse. One of the derivations of phenomenology is existentialism. Existentialism is very much interested in the what is. Existentialism doesn't preach any particular kind of philosophy. Quoting Nietzsche, God is dead. That is, there is no higher authority. It's a very rebellious kind of philosophy. So we make experience as being the thing that we focus on, and we leave aside all our ideas about how things should be.
I'm interested, I don't know if you, what happens in the brain neurologically when you are analytical and when
Fascinating
you focus
question.
on your feelings?
Great question, but I'm not going to deal with brain science. It's very, very interesting and it's complex, and there's obviously interrelationships.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go into that right now. So, there's one rule that I want you to experiment with right now. One thought, one feeling. It's very difficult because normally the ratio is many thoughts.
Yeah.
So it means that we don't think about anything but one idea and try to skip other ideas.
Or just pick one idea
Yeah?
and then go to the feeling.
Okay.
And then go to the idea.
It's the same idea.
I'll give an example and then you can practice it yourself. That's what I want. So, so that's the rule, and just want to have someone take it in turns. Thought, feeling, like that. Okay, so I feel a little kind of a little excited right now, and I really like the gold against the black on your scarf.
So excitement is a feeling.
Yeah, that's right.
The
Gold.
liking, this is your
Yes, the judgment. Yeah, the thought.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I feel curious,
Mhm.
and I really like your scarf.
Okay. So curious is, curious is mostly cognitive. Like it is a, it does draw you, but it's a cognitive interest really.
Did you ask her to paraphrase what she said, or?
No. Then it's her turn.
Not her turn.
Yeah,
To think about the same.
No. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be connected. Yeah.
Okay.
Curious, give me the butterfly feeling.
Okay, that's it,
in
yes.
my
Got it. Yeah.
like worry.
No. Worry is also cognitive. Butterflies is good. That describes
So
it.
sometimes emotions or feelings, body
Yes,
sensations.
that's right. Body
Or if
sensations.
I do not know how to elaborate it in a word.
Yes, exactly. Body sensations is fine. Yeah. So right now I actually feel a bit hot, and I think, yeah, you already have a grasp of some of the things I'm talking about.
There's sadness. I don't know from where it's coming from. And I think that it's really related to heat. There is something in therapy in like the EFT, like the differentiating between emotions and this is very mild. I
Okay.
wanted to reply.
Sure.
Something like deep
Pity.
therapy.
What's feeling? You don't.
It doesn't matter. You don't need to. We're just playing with thoughts and feelings. Yeah. Okay. There's a little tension in my neck, a little stiff, and I'm hearing the call, and I'm thinking, oh, soon. It seems actually a little early. That's my thought. I thought it was 12:07. Okay.
It's the prayer.
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
Friday.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Okay. Okay, I feel. Okay, I'll just bring some feelings from my previous field, or can I just?
Present sense, whatever's right. Notice right now.
Okay, I feel like it's a feeling, or I feel safe in my chair. I feel safe.
Okay.
And I think it's nothing is coincidence.
Okay. When I hear the incantation, the prayer, I feel happy and touched, and I think I miss that when I'm not in Egypt. Yeah.
I think that we're happy having you here, and I feel comfortable.
Thank you for coming. Yeah, present. Particularly on feelings and experience, and we bring it into action. So we say we play with the issue. So that's a psychodramatic element. Even something very serious and painful, we can create an experiment to explore it. So the experiment is a balance always between challenge and support. Because we need a certain amount of risk to create the conditions for change. Because people are very settled, very stuck in their way of doing things. So we need to shake them loose a bit. And that's the challenge part of it. But we also need to have support. Otherwise, the person just becomes traumatized, and then obviously that's not going to work either. So the right amount of challenge, the right amount of support, Peter Levine calls it titration. You know, it's a chemical term. You put just the right amount of different chemicals in to produce the chemical transformation. So we titrate challenge and support. And you know, each person and each moment needs a different balance between the two. And if you get the balance right, then you know you get growth. So that's a synopsis of Gestalt. Safe emergency. That's my Australian accent. Safe. Australians say A in a particular way. It's a little hard to grasp. The safe emergency. So yeah, we want to set up a kind of an emergency that in which we're taking the elements of what someone finds difficult and we're stepping into them, stepping into the heart of whatever it is. So, for instance, let's say, you know, you grew up in a violent family, so obviously you have some trauma that comes out of that violence. So it means that if someone raises their voice, you know, your body's going to react and shrink. So that's the emergency, it's the dangerous situation. So, you know, perhaps in your marriage or your friendships, if the conflict starts to arise, then, you know, you might tense up straight away and it become a problem. So in the Gestalt experiment, we might set up that situation. You know, I might say, well, you know, perhaps I'll be your friend. Let's imagine I'm your friend, and I'm gonna raise my voice one notch, and I want you to notice what happens in your body, what you feel, because it's a safe situation. We can slow everything down, and I'm going to support you. So I'm going to raise my voice a bit, and then we're going to stop. And we're going to deal with the feelings that come up. You know, you tense, and so I invite you to notice where you tense in your body, bring some breathing into the process, and, you know, other forms of support, so then the person's able to relax. So, you know, we can explore that so that you can start to hear a raised voice, feel your tension, and then relax. So both the challenge and the emergency and the support at the same time. So
We in the challenge support process, by experiment this style of therapy, we give the client the choices. What do you choose to do here and there and then? Or in this situation, by raising question, and what is happening in your body, what you are thinking, and what you believe about yourself, then how would you react next time if there is something happening the same way?
Well, we tend to focus on the present, less a skill-based thing, and it's more a transformation of experience.
So what would be benefits if you just notice his emotions and what his sensations?
Because people have a different experience, yeah. And, in Gestalt, we're highly focused on experience.
Hello. You two came together so quick.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that I'm on the floor. I'm
No. Thank you. Please let me know.
So we don't care so much about the scale. We care about
The experience.
right.
Yeah. So, because we say that increased awareness in itself is curative. That's all we need to do, is
Just,
increase awareness.
just you need to know the difference between awareness inside me, the awareness of what is outside me, and awareness. There's three
Yeah.
kinds of awareness. Can we explain that more?
So awareness, particularly body-based senses, that's the main focus.
Yeah.
So that you mean that if I raise the awareness of myself,
Yeah.
I will have insights or reflections or
Exactly.
something that
That's right.
would help in the future?
Exactly, yeah, because the insight comes from experience rather than from information. That's the key to the experiment.
Sometimes we are lost in our experience. How can I help as a therapist the client if he's inside his experience and he's lost and does not know the answers about why he's having this traumatized sensations?
Well, often the lostness is in the mind actually, and what we do is we draw the person into their present-centered body experience because that's called grounding. And when you ground the person, they're not lost anymore. They might be in pain, but they're not lost. So then we work through the pain as a way to transform. Okay, so that's a big overview, and I don't want to stay too long on a conceptual level, as fascinating as it is. We will come back to this later over the days. It's a reference point, but I kind of always want to move us into experience. We're used to having a sequence of thoughts. So it's difficult just to have one, because it feels like there should be another one, and yeah.
Maybe I just felt blind, like, what do I need to think of? Like,
Interesting, okay.
does thoughts need feelings? So if you are going to change the feeling, you need to think to change the thought about it? Or not?
It doesn't have to be connected.
Uh,
Yeah, it can just be random, that's okay too.
Curiosity and distraction. These are not feeling.
Yeah,
These are the meaning that we're giving.
that's right, exactly. Yeah, curiosity is not really a feeling. I mean, there's a feeling that goes with it, but curiosity itself is like, I'm curious means I want to know or understand. Yeah.
In this exercise, was it meant to like mention a feeling and then for the thought to basically discuss the feeling?
No, it doesn't
or
have to.
feeling?
Doesn't-
Yeah, I was random.
It can be separate, that's okay. Any other comments?
I want to ask, do we always begin with the thought?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Either way. Yeah, sure. Well, that's right. As soon as we put the spotlight of awareness, then something comes up. We say, I give the example of, Mona, are you translating this?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it.
Okay. It's like a glass with water in it. And you know the bubbles, they rise to the surface. So awareness is like that. As soon as you pay attention to it, then something comes to the surface. And you see, we say, this is the figure. The figure, say, emerges. So as soon as you bring the spotlight of awareness, a figure will emerge. And that's the principle of Gestalt. You don't have to figure out what's the issue, because whatever it is going to emerge, you know, especially on the somatic level, feeling level, exactly.
That was my question actually. Does we first think or feel?
Doesn't happen.
But it's important to speak out and say what I'm feeling and talk about.
In a discussion, people are going to have 20 thoughts to one feeling, or sometimes 100 thoughts, or sometimes a whole hour without any discussion of feelings. So this is bringing the ratio back to 1-to-1, which tends to slow down conversation, because feelings are slower and they take more time to identify than thoughts which are very, very fast. What about you folks? Any comments?
I have a question. She's taught with her physical feeling,
Yes.
body feeling.
Yes.
I start with emotion.
That's okay.
After a while, when she
Look,
this, I want to understand if how can I know surely this is not a reality. It's totally
I don't worry about that. Your feelings are in your body, so you know. Of course, we're impacted by the other person. Someone's sad. I might feel sad, but the point is, it's in my body, so my experience. But just to come back to the sensation, and then there's emotion. So sensations are simpler: hot, cold, tense, relaxed, heavy, light. Whereas emotions are complex. Sadness, it's a complex emotion. And with each emotion, there's sensations. So when you're sad, then you're going to experience that sadness in the body somewhere. So that helps. Maybe we can do that later. That helps that are connected with an emotion. Just keeping an eye on time. So yes, these two elements both are significant, we can use either in the therapeutic process. And because sometimes, especially men, don't know what they're feeling. Most men, perhaps, I don't know, maybe each is different, but usually if you ask a man what he's feeling, he's going to find it a little difficult. But you can always inquire the sensation, and people can always identify, almost always, some sort of sensation. So that's sufficient in terms of this feeling, thought difference. That's how you get to the present. Because you can say, yesterday I had a fight with my husband and I felt really angry, but that's a memory, cognitive. However, you can say, as I think about the fight that I had with my husband, right now I feel hot and agitated. So we bring it, we come into the present emotion.
How could we not need to go to the root matter?
No, you don't have to think about it. Everything, see in Gestalt, everything is a flow. There's no effort. There's no pushing. It just, that's the way in which it's similar to the Chinese philosophy of Taoism. Taoism is about the natural flow of existence. I mean, perhaps in terms more familiar here, we could say surrender to the will of God. It's a little bit like that.
Acceptance? Like acceptance?
Well, I'm putting it particularly in religious context, surrender to the will of God. So it's
more than acceptance.
Yes, that's right. It's like being in that flow.
التسليم يا جماعة.
That's right. So Gestalt has that character.
So as if we are sincere state,
Yes.
and we are bringing it to surface and keeping it to flow until it's finished.
Exactly. You got it. That's we say the wave of awareness. As a wave that has different stages, and if you
Because most of our problems are in this stage. So when you have intense emotions, we just want to analyze it, to know why it's happening, and to here in the Gestalt, just make it.
yeah, though we're not analysing so much in Gestalt. We're just working with the flow, and we're finding out what stops the flow, so things interrupt the flow. So you feel sadness, then there's a tendency to interrupt the flow, to hold your breath or to tense so that the sadness doesn't flow because maybe you don't want to cry or you don't want to go into that feeling. So our emotions, and so we're also paying attention to what happens in terms of that.
When you said interrupt our emotions, what did you have?
Well, to stop them flowing. That's often what happens, when you're a child, maybe you're upset about something, and the parent, if they're an impatient parent, they say, stop crying. Or, what are you crying about? They stop the flow, and then that becomes, something that we don't do ourselves. See it here.
Is that like trauma?
Yeah, and that creative adjustment in Gestalt. I'm going to take one more, and then I think we're going to finish with prayer times.
Just what comes in mind is authenticity.
Is what?
Authenticity.
Authenticity. Yes, that's the character of Gestalt, is to be true to my experience.
What if my authenticity is so bad?
But bad is a judgment, you see. That's where the thoughts come in.
Maybe I am so aggressive, so much.
Well, but see, then in Gestalt, then we want to work with the aggression. We want to help the person step into their aggression in a safe way to embody it. Yeah, aggression's not bad. Of course, if you hit someone in the head, yes.
I'm not a criminal.
Yes, that's right. So how to embody aggression in a way that actually enhances relationship, to be authentic in that way.
Yeah. So they can play boxing together.
Yes, that's right. In fact, we will do an exercise to explore that.
So if you are aggressive and your partner is aggressive, you can play boxing.
Well, we have something better than boxing. But I'm aware it's 12:04, so I guess it's time to stop for prayer.